Hello, how you doing? I'm Craig Parkinson. You are listening to the Two Shot Podcast. Sit yourself down, pop the kettle on. We're going to have a nice old chat. Who's it with this week? I'm going to tell you right now.
How the devil are you? This is the Two Shot Podcast, episode 86 with Kevin Bishop.
Someone's after my job. That's it. This is episode 86 of the Two Shot Podcast. You heard it there. I hope all is well. So, what's going on? This is the last one for a bit. We're just going to have a little pause, a little break. So what's going to be happening in the interim? Are we bringing you new episodes? Not at the moment, no, but we will. We'll be back. So what's going to happen then? Well, producer Griff is going to get his splicing scissors out, and we're going to be bringing, next week, we're going to be doing a Line of Duty special. So it's the show that everyone's talking about at the moment in the UK, so we thought we'd snip together a full episode featuring Vicky McClure, Adi Dunbar, Tony Pitts, Neil Morrissey and Maya Sondi. And we're going to keep doing that. We're going to go back through the archives because there's people joining us all the time and there's no way they've listened to all 86 episodes. So we thought we'd introduce some of our favourite episodes and maybe do like little mashups like next week and keep that going for a bit. So there's still going to be stuff coming out. You might have heard it before, you might not have done, but it's a good time to dive in. Now, speaking of diving in, let's do this. This is episode 86 with the irrepressible Mr. Kevin Bishop, and I think you're going to really love it. I'll see you at the end. End of the pier. Variety. It's just a different generation now.
But that end of the pier thing, I mean, if you think about it now, like, I don't know about you, but I mean, I remember when I grew up, the end of the pier stuff was almost like, it was popular in the early 80s, and then it became naff, and then no one was sort of interested in that. But like I was saying, like, it become a dying, a completely dead art form. And if you look at all of our, I don't know, like Ant and Dec are sort of almost there. It's almost like Morecambe and Wisey sort of thing. But those years of being on stage and the fear of being on stage in front of a live audience and knowing what works, what doesn't from night to night, and you build up your skills from that. You just don't see that anymore.
But even that stuff that was on telly, you know, the Les Dawson, the Mike Yarwood, the Morecambe Wise, when it transferred to telly, it was still in front of a big audience, so it was still theatrical in a way.
Yeah, it was. It was all live studio audience. Well, I remember when we were doing Porridge, I remember saying it's a live studio audience, and I was thinking, was the original Porridge live studio audience? But it was. They all were.
Was it?
Yeah, the original Porridge was live studio audience, and so we did ours in front of a live studio, and I remember thinking during that, like, nobody ever really wanted to do live studio, especially for the last 15, 20 years.
Because it's considered a bit downgrade.
Yeah, but there's something very skillful about working an audience with a script, that live format, and you only get it really with radio and stuff. And after Porridge, I was thinking, you know what, I'd love to do a live studio audience that wasn't mainstream, that was more, you know.
But would that
Fraser
work?
or Black Books was that kind of like much more sort of, I don't know, but I think it's time, personally, to do it again.
What, like for a resurgence?
Yeah, because there's an energy that I don't know what it is. Like when we're on camera and on a set and we're doing a single cam, you know, show like most comedies nowadays. You know, you've got your crew and that's it, and no one's really thinking about what you're doing. You know, they're thinking about their job. And I think that the wonderful thing about the audience is that you get that instant gratification. You know right there in that moment whether it's any good or not.
And if it's working.
And the energy level goes to such a point of focus that I feel like I do my best work in front of a live audience.
Why do you think that is?
Just because of the pressure, and I respond well to that. Like Partridge was filmed in front of a live studio audience, but they had the fourth wall there, so they couldn't see the audience, but the audience were watching them live. And Steve said, you know, it was a fantastic feeling to be in that studio and hear the laughter.
Yeah.
We could hear it, and we'd be knowing that we were were doing a good scene.
Well, especially when the first series was like a chat show
Yeah,
itself, so you had it there straight away.
yeah.
When we first started talking about you coming on here,
Yeah.
which we've been trying to talk about for ages,
talk yourselves out of. Yeah.
and you went, "Oh no, I can't because I'm off touring with Damon Albarn," and I thought you were joking. What? Kev, I know you've got fingers in
tricky
pies.
second album, Kev and Damon.
How did this come about?
Right. Well, I did a play at the Young Vic with Harry Enfield, and
Yeah, I remember that.
Once in a Lifetime. It was Harry's first play that he ever did, and shortly afterwards, Harry phoned me and he said, "Look, Damon Albarn has phoned me and he said he wants me to be in Gorillas or some cartoon character. I don't know." I said, "Look, no, I'm not going to Japan. Call Kevin Bishop. He does the silly voices." So thanks, Harry. He passed my number on to Damon Albarn, and I got a call, and it was like, "Hello, it's Damon. Damon Albarn from Gorillas."
Just to clarify who I am.
And I was like, "Oh, right." And I just didn't even mention Blur. You know, I'm a massive fan of. And I honestly thought it was a piss take. I thought
going to say, if someone
who
rings
is
you
this?
up-
Is this like Rob Brydon or someone
Yeah.
smucking about? And I just didn't believe it. It was really embarrassing. I was like, "Yeah, fuck off. Come on. Who is it? Who is it? Fuck off." And so they said, "Look, we need someone to be the voice of 2D, which is the lead singer of the cartoon band.
Yeah.
So whenever 2D speaks, that's me. That's my voice." And it was kind of someone else had done it before for a long time, and he wasn't doing it anymore, and so I had to kind of step into his sort of voice.
Did you have to mimic the original voice?
Yeah, not completely. They didn't want it to be exactly the same, but they just wanted me to have the same intonation and capture that same spirit in his voice, that same character. And so I did. It's me and Phil Cornwell. Phil does Murdoch.
Yeah.
And
He does everybody, doesn't he?
he does everybody. I mean, it's so brilliant being
Yeah.
in a booth with Phil. I mean, he's so funny. And that was it. And so the great thing about doing a job like that as an actor is that you suddenly become part of this world that you've always fantasised about being part of, which is being in a rock band.
star. Yeah, exactly.
Which is
Because we know all actors actually just want to be in a rock band.
I probably would have been better off doing that, but I'd have been dead actually. But I definitely would have been dead. I'd have been a dead rock star. I don't know if I'd have been any good, but I definitely would have been dead. And and then I just went off on tour with them. And
But if you're recording the voice
Yeah.
and to the animation, why did you have to go on tour?
well, because what I do and what Phil does is we do the stuff that Damon can't stand doing, which is interviews. You know, because Damon's all about the music and all about the creativity,
Yeah.
and he doesn't. I think it just frustrates him getting bogged down with meaningless questions that aren't relevant to the product.
music, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's how. I think that's how Gorillas came about. You know, it was like, how can we do something that's a virtual band and we don't get stuck to it? We just make music and we use who we want, and we don't need necessarily a front man who has to go and do it, even though Damon very much is the front man. And
Well, it's a smart idea, really. If you want to,
it's genius.
If you want to just create your music,
Yeah.
but stay out of the spotlight, type of thing.
yeah, it's actually genius. And so we just go on and answer all those sort of banal, mundane questions that Damon doesn't want to answer. You know.
So that's why you went around. Did you go around the world or just to Japan?
I've been on tour with. I mean, we did a lot of stuff here in the UK. I've been to Belgium with them. Been to Los Angeles. I didn't get to go to Japan. I don't know what happened there. I was gutted. I don't know why, but it was what was brilliant about it was I just they really made me feel like I was just a member of the band, not like, oh, there's some actor walking around. It really was amazing. It was like, and I got to experience it in full, being a rock star. Just say that.
You might as well retire.
It was
Kev.
brilliant.
It's game over.
Well, I've
Does
sort
it
of
get any
peaked.
better?
I've worked with the Muppets and I've worked with Gorillas, and I don't really need to do anything else. I'm done.
That's everybody's childhood dream. Be a rock star, work with the Muppets.
That's it.
Can we talk about that? How did the Muppets start?
Oh dear.
We need to go back, don't we?
We need to go back.
Before we do go back, I don't think I've told
Do we
you.
have to have a sound effect for this for me to go back in time?
We can put one in, can't we?
Yeah.
You know that you have full editorial control over this episode, and we can beep and we can talk about anything
All right,
we want.
yeah.
Had Big Tom Davis
Well, I like
here
that we
yesterday.
could,
There's
yeah.
a lot of beeping,
Yeah, I can imagine.
and he'll come round and take a few snappy snaps
Yeah,
as well
lovely.
while we're talking.
All right,
Just
okay.
don't let it put you off. But no, let's go back. Let's talk about childhood. Was yours a normal childhood, Kevin Bishop?
No, not at all. I thought it was quite normal because, well, you just do, don't you, when you're a kid?
You don't know anything different.
Yeah, you just think that's that you accept your reality, as it were. But I'm from a very normal family, and there's no showbiz in my family. I mean, I've got a very talented family. My mum's got 9 brothers and 4 sisters, and they've all had 1 million kids, Irish.
Busy.
Yeah, busy, and they're all singing, all dancing, and all very funny. And so, as a kid, I think my mum was just like, look, this kid is either on some kind of spectrum, or he is talented and.
Well, you're quite hyperactive as a child.
Yeah, massively. And I remember my mum used to get really offended when people go, Are you hyperactive? and she'd go, no, he's not. There's nothing wrong with him. And it was like, I was clearly hyperactive, but I've somehow managed to rein it in and use it to my advantage.
Or channel it.
Channel it.
Yeah.
Channel it into, well, I'm still hyperactive, but I mean, just channel it into some kind of, I don't know, focus and obsession. And my focus and obsession when I was younger was mimicry. But my mum's a mimic as well.
Is she?
Yeah.
Is that where it comes from?
Well, she would meet people in the street and she would go, oh, hello, Mrs. Canterbury. How are you? Oh, yes, so good. And the woman would say, I knew your grandmother. And I said, and as she'd walking away, my mum would be taking her off as she was walking away from her. And I remember thinking as a kid, well, that's weird. That Mum, it's almost like that woman's still here. and she really gets inside the nut of the person. And that's what I do. I like to get... It's not just a voice thing. With me, I can do people by accident.
Yeah.
It's like I watch them and don't even know that I'm profiling them. And then I get inside their head. And for me, that's the best bit, is you say what they would say, as opposed to, oh, you just sound like that person. Because I don't really think impressions are that interesting or funny. But when you say stuff that person would say, then it becomes right. That's an interesting thing.
Did you start doing teachers when you were at school?
Could do them all, male and female.
Yeah.
We had a French teacher called Miss Harcoon, and she had this voice was like that, with up in the sky, and she would say, you have to, okay, I'll see you. But I would mimic that as a kid, and I'd get the car sitting up, standing down, and then we locked her in a French cupboard one, and we drove her to pretty much like breaking point, and there was a stock room. And we locked her in a stock room, and it was just bedlam, because I knew it was very difficult for me as a kid, especially as a child actor, because I was bullied at school quite badly because I was on the telly, and I was off on set, so the kids were like, fucking hell, this little prick.
So you're in and out of school?
Yeah, I was never there. I was properly working all the time. I had a much more successful career than I did as an adult. I literally was never at school.
What age did you start working?
First professional gig was at the Sound of Music in Sadler's Wells when I was 10. It was an open audition.
Was that something you wanted to do, or something that your mum and dad sort of went, oh, go on,
no,
channel this, Kevin?
I said to my mum, I watched The Goonies, and I said, Mum, how do those kids get in those films? And she said, well, I don't know. And I think she was talking to a friend of hers. She said, we want Kev wants to be in films. And we've done it, like E.T. and I watched all those movies, those brilliant movies in the 80s with kids. And I just remember thinking, I want to be an actor. I knew at probably 4 years old.
We all wanted to be in the Goonies, though, didn't we?
All wanted to be in the Goonies. Yeah.
And they were brilliant, them kids, weren't they?
They're amazing. I mean, and we were brought up I was brought up in the 80s as Spielberg using really brilliant kids as actors, and I remember, things like, film Big and massive films, Did you
ever see Henry Thomas's audition for E.T.? You must have done.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And he tells him he's got the part right there at the end. That was the bit I was suddenly like, it's great when that happens, because how many times has that ever happened to you?
Never.
Like, probably once or twice, where you and I mean, sort of thing with me, they would say it, and then but at the end I'd still lose the job somehow.
I've seen him start texting halfway through an audition, and I've gone, this isn't going my way, is it?
Yeah. Oh God.
I actually went into one audition, and they went very early on, I hate talking about myself, but they went, Craig, Parkinson, looked at my CV and looked up and went, like the disease. And I went...
Only more debilitating.
Right. They went, do you want to read? And I went, well, I'm here.
Wow.
Oh, awful.
It's what always gets me is the tactlessness of directors, and especially sort of if you ever work with a director, if you're doing an audition with someone who's just got off commercials and they're doing all the commercials and they've not really done a lot of scripted comedy or scripted drama, and they sort of talk to you like you're this sort of product in a commercials casting, and they never get the best out of their actors, do they? I had that, yeah.
So if the hero...
Always wary of commercials
the hero
directors.
comes here...
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay, do this. Well, it says on your CV you can do Bangladeshi. You know, it's that sort of talking to you like you're a piece of shit. You know.
Did you find auditions... I mean, you must have found them easy when you were a kid.
No. I mean, I've never... it's weird. I don't think I'll ever get the hang of them because I just find them... I find it just it's such an insecure-driven thing. Before you walk through that door, you have to be everything and everyone to people you've never met before. You have to guess, and I think that for me, I just gave that up a few years ago. I gave up trying to be the person that I thought they wanted me to be. That ultimate gamble.
Was that a conscious decision?
Yeah, it was, because I thought I think it's irrelevant, really, of like who I am when I walk in there, and for me it was all about being that character. I've never walked in being the character. I'm not a method actor. I don't do that. But I feel that sort of. I think I read an article about Tim Spall. He said that when he stopped caring, that's when it all started to click for him.
Yeah.
And it's not that you don't care. It's just that. Don't beat yourself up because you can't be everything to everyone.
And also it's about prioritising, I think.
Yeah.
Going, well, I can do this. And sometimes you worry about the preconceived ideas people have of you before you go in. And they do have preconceived ideas. And I understand why they have them, because it makes their job easier. If I was a casting director, I want to know who he is and what's his thing. It makes my job easier. So when you go in and they say, we thought you could play this character that's exactly the same as that character you just played in that other thing that's just been on television, and you try and play it another way, they get annoyed because they think, well, hang on, we just want you to do the thing that you do. Yeah, the thing that we saw you do.
Yeah, which is probably, I think, doing the same thing over and over again is probably the shortcut to success, I reckon, in our game, because people need to put you in a box. Yeah. You know, Jack Black said something once. He said, what's the secret to your success? And he said, you have to be very specific. And if you think about the big stars, they've picked a thing, stuck with it. Whether they can do anything else or not, we never know, because they've only done that one thing. But it's the thing where, that's what this guy is. I'll tell you, could be good. Bruce Willis, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's the guy who does that.
Get Jim Carrey in and do the bendy thing. He does that.
Yeah. You need that person that ticks that box. And I don't think I've ever really sort of... Well, I don't even know who that person is in me. I don't know who that one... You know, I get a lot of Cockney stuff. I get a lot of, like geezery sort of roles. But that isn't really who I am. But that's probably a lot of my perception. And so I'm always trying to sort of change that. But sometimes I feel like, maybe I should just give them what they want.
What's the point?
Well, what's the point? They don't... I'm just pissing them off.
I'm trying.
Oh, fuck off. He's doing that. What's he doing? What's he fucking doing? You know.
So your mum said, right, our Kevin wants to... She didn't say that. Our Kevin
she
wants
didn't say our Kevin. She's from London. Yeah.
Our Kevin wants to be in pictures. What can we do?
Check him, chip bread factory. No, is he fuck? No, he's going on telly. Put him on television.
So she saw an audition for Sound of Music, or did you see it?
No, this is how it happened. She phoned a friend... not on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and something else, and they said, well, kids need an agent, actors need an agent. So she literally got the Yellow Pages, opened it up on agents, talent agents, and the only children's talent agent in the Yellow Pages was Sylvia Young's.
Right.
So she took me to Sylvia Young's in Marylebone and walked into the office, and Sylvia Young was sat there in the office, and she said, hello, what's your name? And I said, oh, it's Kevin. She went, can you sing, darling? I said, yes, I can sing. She went, sing a song for me. I went, I haven't got anything prepared. She went, sing Happy Birthday. I went, Happy Birthday. She went, you're in. It's an open audition tomorrow. It's Sound of Music, Sadler's Wells. And I literally turned up there, and it was an open audition. There were 2,000 kids for the role of the Von Trapp kids.
Oh my God.
And I went there for 4 weekends. And the crowds were getting less and less. It was the first one was actually like yes, no, you're dark haired, dark eyed, you'll never be a German Von Trapp, get out. It was literally like that, 1990, and
Hitler Youth,
yes,
in.
You'd be saved, and then suddenly I was sitting there on the floor, and there was a group of there were 3 groups of kids, because you have to have several groups of kids because you can only do so many days as a child actor.
Yeah.
And then someone put a microphone in my face and said, "How does it feel to be Kurt in The Sound of Music?" And I just said, "Oh, I got the part." And it was Newsround.
No way.
Yeah, and it's on, and there is that footage somewhere of me. That was my first ever professional gig.
We've got to find that, Griff. Get a link up to
Good luck.
Kevin Bishop on Newsround.
Good luck finding it.
I'll give John Craven a call.
Yeah, John Craven. Yeah, he'll find it for you. So yeah, and that was my first professional job, and that was it. I was never going to do anything else. It was a done deal, and I was just a grafter. I was just grafting.
You doing anything like commercials?
I just wanted to be out there with grown-up people, earning money and doing what I loved.
Your mum and dad supportive for this?
My dad wasn't so keen on it because I just think it frightened him. But I think my mum felt like maybe there had been some missed opportunity in her childhood. But they come from a very sort of, quite a poor background. 13 kids in a council house in Orpington, and she was offered a scholarship at RADA when she was 16, her nan wouldn't let her do it.
No,
she said you will type, and that was the end of it, end of dreams.
She said what?
You will type.
My nan
said you will type, and that's what my mum did. She went to London and she was a typist for a while.
Different generation though, Kev.
Yeah, but it was like in those days. I mean, you can't. I mean, it just wasn't a thing. Like we don't. Maybe Michael Caine being, he one off, but I mean, most of the actors and they're all like that. It was you had to come from a very sort of
and you'll never work.
Background.
You'll never work.
You'll never work. It'll never be enough. It'll never pay the bills. I don't know. Who knows why it was?
Yeah.
That was her thing. And my mum, the real sadness for me is my mum actually is very funny, very talented, and could do all the things that I do. She just didn't have the opportunity. So I'm grateful for her for seeing it in me and going, you know what, I'm not going to let this slip with him. I'm going to give him every shot. And if it wasn't for her sitting there with those other crazy stage mums, because they are crazy. If she wasn't, she didn't do that, because it must have been hard for her to do that. So Muppet Treasure Island. So just get back to that. Muppet Treasure Island was all we knew in our first audition was that Muppet Treasure Island was going to be a remake of Treasure Island. So we thought, yes, Barbados. It's going to be 2-3 months in Barbados. Fucking brilliant. And then we found out it was all being filmed in Shepperton. I was oh shit. And then it was like, it's the Muppets. That came out later.
Oh, you didn't even know it was the Muppets at that point?
We didn't even know. And then I met Brian Henson and Martin Baker at the Creature Shop in Oval Road, Camden. I sang for them and I auditioned for them. I was the first person that they saw out of thousands. And I was the guy, the kid that they ended up choosing.
My God.
They say it on the commentary, yeah. So they said, Brian's like, we went through like 2,500 kids or something, and to come back to the first kid that we saw. But I was just so sort of green at that point. I mean, I'd been in Grange Hill, actually. I had a bit of experience. I'd been in Grange Hill for 2 years, which I got sacked from. Because I was naughty.
Explain naughty.
Well, There was a string
comedy
of
awards
events.
naughty.
Yes, pretty much. Not drunk,
Right.
like the comedy awards, but
we'll get onto that later.
A string of events. I just what the thing is with Grange Hill. I was from a normal sort of state school, and we played football at lunchtime. We had rolling fields, and that's I had a lot of energy. And then to go work professionally at BBC Elstree, which has no playground, nowhere to let off any steam. Back in the 90s, you've got a canteen that we shared the canteen with people from Top of the Pops and EastEnders, and you sit having Jack and Potato with like Gabrielle and June Brown, Dot Cotton, and Brian Harvey from E17. It was those sort of very different days where kids, I suppose, we had less rights, if you like. And I would be picked up in the morning at 5 a.m. I had to go through to Mile End via East Ham to pick up another child actor, and then from Mile End on a coach through to Elstree, and I didn't get to work till 9 o'clock in the morning, having left at 5 a.m.
I mean, already that's a long day.
Yeah, and I'm 12, 13. And then I've got to do that on the way home. So and I've got to do 4 hours tuition in that day.
In the shooting day.
So my working day was
crazy.
Was triple what the other actors were doing. The teachers.
Also, that wouldn't be allowed nowadays.
No, it wouldn't. I don't know. I mean, I can't see that being allowed.
No.
But we would then. We had a green room which had a pool table in the middle of it and no room on either side of it. Couldn't even take a shot. So I was just naughty. I was a chimpanzee basically, and they fired me. They said, "Kevin, we just don't know what to do with you anymore. You're just so naughty. You've got to go." And my dad said, when they fired me, my dad was mortified. He said, "Only my son could get expelled from a fictional school."
In a way, it's quite an accolade.
Well, yeah, but I remember all the kids were going, "Oh man, you've been kicked out of Grange Hill, man. Oh my God, that's it. You're finished, man. You can't believe it. You'll never get back. You'll never get back." And I was like, "That's all right. So something will come up," and I got the Muppets. And
on the back of that?
No, I literally on the back of it. So I pretty much got expelled. Months later, I'd landed the job with the Muppets, and if I hadn't have been kicked out of Grange Hill, I never would have had enough days to go and film with them. I just wouldn't have got the gig. All my days would have been taken with
So it was a
Grange
blessing
Hill.
to be a bloody caged animal in that fictional school. Otherwise, that wouldn't have happened.
In its own way, it was fate. I was meant to be a complete twat on Grange Hill and drive them to distraction and then fire me. Yeah.
And what age were you at this point?
I was 28. No, I was 13.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So
were you
proper
thinking at that?
dickhead.
Were you think? Yeah, of course. Well,
Yeah.
who wasn't?
It wasn't. Yeah.
Were you thinking?
Well, the
at
other
this
kids weren't. That's why they didn't get fired. The other kids were just really nice.
Tell that to Zamo
He was still there
in the toilets with his smack.
Smacked up. Yeah.
I mean, you think about Grange Hill now, and another beat.
It was brilliant.
Young people listen to this who have no reference at all to Grange Hill. But can you imagine a kids show talking about school kids doing heroin now? It wouldn't happen, would it? At all.
I know, and I just think that that's wrong, because I mean, we really, really do need to sort of address stuff. I mean, I have this conversation with regards to comedy all the time as well. Like, our comedy budgets are getting slashed all the time, cut back, and ITV now aren't actually doing any comedy. Yeah. And I just think, well, hang on a minute. And they say, "Oh, you get your laughs from the soaps." Well, I don't sit there laughing at soaps.
Which also is actually kind of derogatory to the soap operas.
Yeah.
They're not there.
Well, no one got into a soap opera so they could make jokes, did they? Well, maybe some did. Well, I can think of a few.
I can think of a few, yeah. Probably best not to say it. It's all right, we can beep it out. But I was thinking about the relevance there of what should be said about today's society. And have you seen Man Like Mo Bean?
Yeah, I have seen this, yeah.
Guz Khan and Andy Milligan's show. They've just done series 2, only 4 episodes, but each episode, one's like all about knife crime, really absolutely fucking relevant stuff.
Yeah.
That all the youngsters should be watching today, and they're doing it in such a way that isn't patronising at all. And I never thought, and look, I've never gone back to Grange Hill in those days, but I never found it patronising as a kid at all. And kids are so sharp and they're so on it, and they know if they're being talked down to.
I just find that you should just never patronise your audience.
No.
And I just think that's what every channel is guilty of at the moment. Is like they just patronise their audience. Like this whole thing about, you know, putting shit stuff on television on Saturday nights because they think, well, that's what people want. No, it's not. People will watch whatever's on. So you've got a duty to educate them.
And also, audiences want to be challenged. You know, if you see a drama, they go, oh, well, let's not spoon feed the audience. Let's challenge them. And you know those dramas that come on and you go, well, this is a cut above because it's asking something from an audience. Look, there's a time and a place for everything to be spoon fed, and people want to be washed over sometimes. That's fine. You know, how many times have you turned on the telly and go, I just want to watch a bit of shit.
I just want to watch crap.
I just want to watch some crap.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
I'm mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
I just need something to wash over me.
Yeah.
But then when something incredible comes on, or even something actually that's kind of mediocre, it's kind of all right, people go, oh, it's amazing. Well, it's actually not amazing, but it's because you've been spoon-fed a load of shit for ages. Anything that's a little bit above the precipice
You just
of
go,
not
"Oh."
shit, you go, oh, God, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
So we can't, I think that's a brilliant rule, not just in comedy or children, to not patronise the audience.
Yeah. Or just don't ever underestimate people's own intelligence, and that for me is kind of everything. And I have those conversations all the time with producers on sets of comedies and whatever, and they're like, oh, we can't say that joke because no one will get that joke. And I don't assume. No, let's not lower our bar because we think that there's an audience that won't get it. And you know, the amount of times you have this conversation with producers who go, look, we can sit here all day squirreling out really intelligent comedy, but you know, at the end of the day, no one's going to watch it. I'm going to go, no, but the right people will watch it. And then through that, people will aspire to watch. I mean, there's people that, for example, like Partridge is not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
You know, and why is it not their cup of tea? Because they watched half an episode while they came from the pub one night and didn't get it. And then they just binned it forever. And now they're watching it again on Netflix or whatever, and they're going, actually, do you know what? I want more now.
Yeah.
I'm cleverer now.
Yeah.
You know, I want to listen. You know, I've got much more intellectual taste in comedy. And I'm just bored of this sort of, you know, constant stream of low bar comedy that we're hit with at the moment. And I just feel like me as a brain, I just need more. And I feel like we're in a time now where it's really shit being a comedian at the moment. It's shit writing comedy at the moment because you can't actually, there's no comedy without conflict, and you're not allowed to make conflict anymore because you might upset somebody.
Yeah.
Or you're going to single out those people. I mean, people just say to me now, they go, why don't you do the Kevin Bishop show again? I was like, are you going to fucking laugh? Like, I couldn't put one of my sketches on telly.
Not anymore.
I'd be tried at The Hague,
Yeah.
you know, if I release my show now. And I think that's a shame because really, nobody got killed from watching my show. You know, people are dying now out in the streets because everyone's taking everything too seriously.
Yeah.
Everyone's taking everything too fucking seriously. That's my take on it all. We all need to calm down.
Yeah.
And there's no comic relief anymore, except for comic relief.
But
which is no comic relief.
well, you know, I mean, I did watch a bit of that, and I think it's.
What's happened?
I mean, it's amazing. Let's all raise money for charity. I'm all up for that. But can we just raise the bar a little bit, please? But also, you talking about, you know, conflicts with sort of producers about people not getting a joke. All right, if 99 people don't get it, not a problem. But if one person gets it, that's incredible. Because I was thinking, we've been talking about the Partridge stuff, the new stuff, which I'm think's incredible, but it's the small little throwaway lines that I think are just incredible.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody else didn't get it, but I got it.
Well, it's that human nuance that he manages to pick up.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes it brilliant. Because the wonderful thing about Partridge is that even though we can tell he's a dickhead, we can also go, oh, I sort of think that.
Well, we can
But
empathise.
I'd never say it.
No, but
I
we
know
can empathise
in the back
with
of
it.
my head, I feel a bit like that.
It's like I was talking to Tom Davis a few weeks ago. Yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, it's podcast world, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know when this is going out. And we can beat this. Do you ever get so frustrated that you just think, why bother? I'm not going to bother anymore.
I get so frustrated, and then what I do is I talk to other writers, and then I realise that my gripe is every writer's gripe. And I just think if you don't get your backside kicked as a writer, then you aren't one. It's simple as that. You know, you have to earn your stripes, and you have to have stuff that means so much to you and you hold so dearly to your heart. You have to have it chucked away by someone who doesn't get it. And that does really hurt, but you have to get back up and write something else, or keep that in the back pocket. And when you can face opening it up again and rewriting it, then do that. It's just that it's every writer. I mean, even the best writers, if you talk to, I mean, God, if you talk to anybody, if you talk to Steve Pemberton about, you know, his experiences, you know, they've all had massive knocks by the same people that have given them their big breaks. So it's just an ongoing thing.
And this comes up time and time again on the podcast. We learn by failure. We learn by not getting exactly what we want straight away.
That's the thing. I feel like some people sort of pussyfoot around actors, and like, I always get this thing, people saying, "Look, you know, I don't want to sort of, you know, I don't want to say like, you know, say a yes, I don't want to say it's yours, but I just want to, you know, you're my favourite. You know, I just want to know you're my favourite person for this role." And I'm like, "Look, mate, I've been an actor for 30 years. I am used to getting no's. It's fine. I've heard no more times than any other person in any other profession. I hear no more than I hear yes. So don't worry about it."
Don't say that.
Yeah.
That's one of the worst things you can say.
I know.
And I know casting directors listen to this podcast, so it doesn't matter, but you know, don't say that, or especially when you're in the room.
Yeah.
It's gonna...
Oh, God. Well, I always find, for me, and I'm sure a lot of actors probably find this, that I'll go into a casting and I go in there thinking, why would they want me for this? I mean, no one's going to want me for this. And I go in there, and I actually walk out sometimes having met the director as well, and I think, that is in the bag. Never get that job.
No.
Never get that job that I actually thought, that is mine. And it's funny, because when I was casting for something that I'd done, and then we had actors come in, and they were all brilliant. I was actually blown away by how brilliant they all were, and shocked at how unprepared a lot of them were actually as well, which made me feel good about myself a bit, because I always thought I was very lazy.
I'm not. When you say unprepared, how unprepared? Like
unprepared in like, some of them hadn't even read it, I don't think. They were sight reading it, you know.
Wow.
And because I would never want anyone to be off the page. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, because when you learn something and you get off the page, it's stuck in your mind, and you've got to work really hard to unstick that.
You're kind of married to those choices.
Yeah. You've made choices, and you've taken them too far, and then you're not as malleable as you were before.
Did you see a change in that when it all happened about that off the book thing? Because this comes up a lot as well. With actors.
I think for a start, I think it's completely unfair. I mean, especially I lived in Los Angeles for a bit, where, you know, you get 6 auditions a day, and they expect you to be off book for all of them. It's like, who do you think I am, Rain Man?
Yeah.
Like, I can't come in here off book on 6 scripts, 6 shit scripts, where it's like the worst dialogue ever. You know, the worst dialogue is, the harder it is to learn as well, because it means fuck all, basically.
You can't connect with it in any way.
You can't connect with it in any way. It's just not how a person speaks.
Yeah.
And you've got to learn 6 of those in a day. And I always find that, you know, that there's a sort of real intolerance to actors if they are not off the page. And it's like, look, hang on a minute. We have got lives. You know, a lot of us have got children, dare we? We've got kids, and, you know,
I've actually got a life.
Yeah, and I'd like a wife who wants us to take the bins out and stuff. And, like, you know, and when I get a script, it's like, love, drop everything. I've got a script.
I've got 14 pages to learn.
Yeah, the house could be on fire, and it's like, it's got to fucking wait, because the audition's tomorrow at 10 o'clock in Soho. That's how it comes in these days. It's like, look, here's the thing. There's 11 pages of dialogue, 10 o'clock in the morning, can you go to so-and-so and read a thing? And
what time is it? 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, so you know, all right, well, I'm getting to bed at 5 a.m, you know, because I've got to prepare for this.
What do you do in that situation? Do you ring up and go, I don't have enough time to do this, and I'm going to do myself a disservice if I go in there and give a half-assed sort of read?
The great thing, I think, about being an actor in the UK is you have that personable sort of relationship with the casting directors here, where you can go, they can say, look, we know Kevin hasn't had a lot of time, maybe we can shift it to 4 o'clock, maybe we can do this, don't worry, we've sent a note to the director, he knows that Kevin's only just got the script, or something like that. Whereas in LA, forget it.
Yeah.
It's like, they don't even ask you, they just say, name, Look to the right, look to the left. Okay, who's your agent? Okay, go. That's it. And if you blow it...
And then get out.
And then get out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, don't shake my hand. That's the other weird thing as well. Like,
Hand sanitizer out.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm not going to shake your hand, if that's okay.
How to start a meeting off well.
Yeah.
Don't touch me.
Yeah. And I always find that weird from casting directors as well. Like, if there's, you know, there's casting directors that they're not really in your little circle, or they don't really court your agency or whatever. Because I find that a lot. I find some casting directors just will not phone a certain agent because they don't want to deal with them. Fair enough. But when you actually meet these casting directors you've never met, if they don't put you at your ease and make you feel like they genuinely want to know what you're about, if they don't do that, they're never going to get the best out of their performer. And that always beggars belief with me. I'm just like, can you just not be fucking nice? So, because I'm about to do a comedy thing here, and I'm not stand-up, so how do you expect me to be relaxed enough to perform? Like, I just feel like a rabbit in the headlights here because you're being so cold, and it's almost like, okay, impress me. It's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I always feel like you're kind of... Because I think as well, with a lot of auditions, the minute you walk through the door, you've either got the part or not anyway, a lot of the time.
Well, they know. I spoke to... I think it was a writer who was sat in, and he went, in the first 5. Definitely in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you know, stop it. Stop it. 'Cause
Yeah.
in a way, we all know.
Well, also, I would actually really respect the upfrontness of someone going, look, stop, Kev. Do you know what? You're not right for this.
Yeah.
But that was wicked. And if I can think of another part that's right for you, I'll get you in. It was great to meet you. Thanks for coming in.
Because let's not waste anybody's time.
Because when I'm walking out of there, and the guy's been really nice to me, because he likes me as an actor, but I'm not right for the job. And I don't hear from him for the job for fucking 2 months.
Or he likes you as a person.
And he likes you as a person, you think you've got the job. And then by the time after 2 weeks, you're sitting there thinking, I'm a terrible actor and my career's over. You know, and I don't think people understand I don't think they understand how sensitive and how soft most actors are. You know,
Oh, completely.
I don't
Even
think
the
they
ones
understand
that come across as tough as nails inside, their
not.
stomach's like a washing machine.
Yeah, of course. And I was always shocked when I worked in plays with really big, famous actors and how crippled with stage fright they would be. You know, like actors that you've gone through your whole life thinking that is the man.
I've never seen them shake.
Yeah,
and
they are
solid
who
as
you
a
want to
rock.
be when you're a grown up.
Yeah.
And then you literally see people, you know, doing Reiki on them in the wings to get them on the fucking stage because they cannot put that foot out onto those lights. And that to me is just like, Jesus, why on earth do we do this business? Are we that sick and twisted? Why would someone who has that kind of fear about going on stage do it? It's like jumping out of an aeroplane without a parachute on. That's what it looks like from the wings, you know.
Do you ever think, I can't anymore?
Well, I had a weird experience because we did Lady Windermere's Fan last year at the Vaudeville.
Kathy Burke, wasn't it?
Kathy Burke
Yeah.
directed it. And it was the first time I've done a play where I didn't have any nerves at all, not even press night or anything. And it was horrible because I thought, what's happened to me? Like, and I realised...
Where did they go? Why was that?
Do you know what? I have no idea. I have no idea why I didn't have any nerves, but I didn't like it because it's the nerves.
We need that.
Well, I need the nerves to remember my lines.
Yeah.
I need that focus. I need to hear my heartbeat in my ear from the nerves to focus me.
And worry where that next line's coming from. I don't know what's coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, it's there. It's all right. It's fine. Yeah.
I need that. I need to be in a state of terror to have any focus whatsoever.
I think we all do, though, don't we?
Yeah, I think that's why we do it.
That's the drive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's that as an actor, it's that drive to be present because we're never present. We're never in this exact moment in time. So we're always kind of like doing something extreme to make us to put us into that. Here I am right now. It's just this, and that's what I think. Being an actor on the stage, for me, that is the epitome of being present. Is when you're on stage under those lights with an audience and all there is this fucking moment in time, and that's what I love about it,
which is unique. It's never going to be exactly the same ever again,
and you know it's different every night.
Yeah,
because if you are present and you are focused in the moment, it can go anywhere. The performance can go anywhere, you know. I mean, I've had people come out of plays and say, that was really funny. And then the next night, people come out and gone, God, it was so sad. You know, it's just incredible. You can tell
that
a
is
different
incredible.
story.
And the danger of it as well.
Yeah.
Do you have that moment on stage and you're kind of there, but you come out yourself and you go, I could do anything right now.
Yeah. And you do.
But you know, I could do
anyone.
anything right now in this moment, and no one could stop me until the stage man. It's my line. Sorry, I've got to kind of do something.
Well, I remember we did a play.
Well, have you heard this thing? And this, I get sent messages a lot on social media about, oh, Craig, have you heard about this? A casting director won't see somebody unless they have a certain amount of followers. And I, near enough, always text back going, I've never heard of this casting director. And no casting director worth a salt that I know would ever ask that. And I think I sent it to Shaheen Baig and she went, not on your Nelly. Come on now. That's just silly. Nobody would do that. But that's worrying for the younger generation of actors, that they think that's what they have to have. And I say time and time again, it's not about that. It's never been about that, and I don't think it will ever be about that.
Well, we are in... I mean, I remember when I first started as an actor, I remember you had 3 genres of performance. You were either a stage actor who would occasionally dip into film, or you were a television actor who just did TV.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that's all you did. And so there was this kind of... We were very much in our categories. And, you know, and I remember... Do you remember those days when you didn't do commercials because it would fuck up the kudos of doing television or theatre or real theatre? So you could... you did a commercial just to get, you know... But it was like, oh, I don't want to do too many commercials, you know? I remember...
It's all right for Ross Kemp doing his fibre advert,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah, bless him. So it was very specific in those days. You didn't cross the streams.
No.
You know, and I remember sort of people saying to me, you should do stand-up. And I made a conscious effort not to do stand-up because I thought, well, that will put the kibosh on my acting career. And I'm an actor. I'm not stand-up.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore. It's almost like if you want to be a comedy actor, you have to be a bloody stand-up as well. You have to be. And I think that's that thing now where there's a lot of terrible stand-ups out there because they're trying to sort of keep their acting career afloat.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know. I mean...
Because remember there used to be a time where if people wanted to do like a Channel 4 sitcom, they would go to Edinburgh Festival and then they'd get picked from there and then they'd get plonked in a...
Yeah.
And I mean, it's changed a lot, obviously, now.
Yeah, well, I think people often ask me, they say to me, how did you get into it? And I say, well, I started when I was 10, so I can't really give anyone any advice unless they're a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And but for me, I always said, if I hadn't been a child actor and I hadn't had the amazing support from my parents that I had, I would have got in through stand-up. Because it's to a working class person, that's the only accessible route.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, as a working class person, you can't fucking get into this game. You can't do it. I mean, you know, you and I are quite a rare exception, and I just think, fucking hell, like, especially with the writing as well, like all the writers that I know at the BBC are all bloody public school boys, posh boys, and I think, well, you can say you're a writer because you've got enough money to fuck about waiting for years to get a fucking writing gig. I couldn't say I was a writer with your success.
Yeah.
Because I have to be a fucking painter decorator at some point.
Because you have to subsidise it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't live. I can't live sitting there in the never of maybe one day I'll get a script picked up by my uncle's mate, you know, at BBC. It wouldn't work. And so there is a massive gap between working class opportunities and those opportunities that are for, you know, public school kids. And
do you think it's got harder? I mean, I think.
Well, it's impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, in the old days, you'd get grants and stuff if you were working class.
Those days are gone.
That's never going to get that now.
No.
Not under this government or any fucking government that we've got in there for it. You know, it's not going to happen. And I just think to myself, you know, we are in a really shit time for that, because I find that the pain that you get from being and the life experience you get from being a working class person, that that needs to be felt on screen and heard on screen. That needs to, you feel that. You
Well,
see that.
those voices aren't there as much anymore. It's not. I mean, it's relevant more than any time, and it's not there on screen. We don't see it. We don't see. You know, I mean, there's younger people listening to this who won't know what the Play for Today was, and those great things where people went in and they shot for like a week or 2 weeks, and it's exactly what's going on in their life, and it's not there on screen anymore.
No, not at all. And I just feel like, I mean, I often think like, if I was a casting agent, I'd go to schools. I would just go to schools and I would just find those.
Well, I know
kids.
two specific casting directors that do that a lot.
Yeah.
And they find
raw talent.
They find the Thomas Turgooses. They find those people.
Yeah, it's so important. And then when you do watch a film with a Thomas Turgoose in it, you go, fucking hell.
Where's he from?
Hey, look at him. He's just spitting reality.
Yeah.
Brilliant, you know. And
it
it
reminds
is
me
moving.
of so-and-so around the corner. It's exactly who he is. I bump into that kid every day. I know who he is.
Yeah.
So we can connect with that.
And also I think that it's so important that, because let's face it, most of the people in this country are working class.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't be being patronised with shit like Towie and, you know, Gemma from fucking Towie and shit like that. They should be educated with stories that they can identify with that are real. You know, and that's they shouldn't be being patronised.
And that's
they
who
need drama.
That's who they should be looking up to, not the other reality stars on the Instagram with a six-pack.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I just think that's the kind of thing that what are we spitting out to these kids now? We're saying, like, you know what, if you want the easy route of like fucking fame and cars and money and coochie loafers and then watch Towie and be like them. You know, watch Geordie Shore, be like them. We should be saying, no, do you know what? Be cool, be working class, be clever, like them, like him, like her. You know, we should be actually giving them, not championing mediocrity.
Yeah.
You know, and I've got two little kids. I've got two little girls, and I had this weird conversation with my daughter the other day. She said, "I want to be an influencer," and I was like, "What? What are you talking about, influencing?" She went, "Yeah, a YouTube influencer." She went, "I'll earn more money than you, Dad, and get more followers than you." And she was talking, and this is a 7-year-old.
Kevin, my 7-year-old,
I couldn't believe it.
More or less said exactly the same thing to me. He went, "I want to be a YouTuber." And my heart, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
That is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
I may sound like an old
Well, it's
man.
terrifying because what I just said earlier in the interview is at 4 years old, watching the fucking Goonies, I wanted to be one of the Goonies.
Yeah.
And if I was 4 years old and I'd seen YouTube and I'd wanted to be a YouTuber, that's what I'd have fucking been.
Yeah.
And if you watch the content that's on this stuff, it's shit and it's got nothing in it. And it's like crack to the kids, and it's given them nothing but basically eating disorders.
Yeah,
you know, that's what it's given them.
Oh, I've had to stop it. I've had to cut it out.
I reckon that our generation of our kids, I reckon they're going to get older and they're going to all this computer stuff. I reckon it's going to be like meat. You know, like it'll be like new veganism. It's going to be like what screens? No, they're gone because remember they just killed everyone in the fucking 2000s. I honestly think that's what it'll be.
What did you say to your daughter when she said that?
I just smacked her. No.
I punched her in the face.
I smacked her and I tied her upside down on the washing line until she stopped crying. I just said to her, "You're right." I said, "You're right. You probably will earn more money than me, but it won't be very interesting." And it won't last. But I just said, and also, well, it's that difficult conversation. It's because when you're a kid, I remember all I wanted to do was eat sweets and be Richie Rich. Really, that's the life I wanted. And now I'm getting older. I'm thinking I want less and less as I'm getting older because I just want to be happy. You know.
Yeah.
And that's really what I think we all want to be now. You know.
Well, that's all it is, isn't it?
Yeah. I just want to go on holiday with my kids.
I just want to relax and be happy.
Yeah.
And just step out from the world just a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it can just be too much.
Well, it is toxic for me. I mean, you've moved out. I know you're out of London, and I'm a Londoner, and I moved out. I lived in Brighton for 16 years, and then that became London, and then I got out of there, and I now live in Worthing on the beach, and I need that because when we're not working, which most of the time we aren't.
Yeah.
You know, I need to be out of the toxicity of
And I need to not
this.
think about it.
Yeah.
I can't have it there right in my face all the time because that's all I'm constantly thinking about.
And that's why I left the States. That's why I left Los Angeles, because I just got sick and tired of people talking about this all the time.
When did you go out there?
I made a TV program with Rebel Wilson called Super Fun Night out in made it for ABC, and we did a series out there. And I lived out there for a year with my wife and kids. And my wife's not an actress, and she just hated it. And I was just constantly... There's a thing with LA, you feel like downtime's wasted if it's not at some opening of an envelope. You know, everyone's out all the time. It's a very good place to get things done because everybody's switched on to work. I remember I had a meeting with Michael Keaton and Mel Gibson in the same day because I had a film script that I wanted to pitch to them, and it just happened in a day. I met them both in a day. It was amazing. And I remember thinking, God, if I wanted to get two actors of similar standing in the UK, it would never happen. It would never ever happen. I'd never get those actors.
Well, there probably
together
talks about it, and it'd go on for months and months, and then it'd never happen.
It would just never happen because the reason it wouldn't happen is because they're too busy with their normal lives to actually come and meet this unheard of writer who's got this idea film script thing. But whereas in LA, nobody wants to miss a beat, just in case it's the big one.
It could be the one. Yeah.
And so from a work perspective, it's great. But if you're trying to bring kids up normally, you know, and you don't want them to sort of... You just want to have some kind of thread of normality in your life. It's very hard to replicate that in Los Angeles. And also it's hard, again, as I say, it's hard to be present as a parent, I think, when you're out there, because you're just constantly chasing the dollar all the time. And so...
Did that take over you a little bit? Or
it takes over everyone. I mean, listen, I liked it because I like working, but that's the thing. I think as actors, we can be quite blinkered to what's really going on because we're chasing that carrot all the time. You know, that's our natural instinct is to chase that carrot. Whereas our partners, if they're not an actor, then they're the ones that sniff the bullshit quicker than anyone. Yeah. Because they're like, well, hang on a minute.
Well, they can see it.
Yeah, what the fuck what are you doing? What are you talking about? And I remember sitting in front of the telly with my missus one night in Los Angeles, and she went, you all right? You seem a bit... And I went, no, I'm all right, I'm okay. I'm just feeling a bit... I'm all right. She said, what's the matter? I went, I just feel like I'm wasting my time a bit sitting here watching this. Oof. And she was like, you're sitting with me watching telly and it's your Thursday night. I said, well, I just feel like I should be... Cause there's this thing on and so-and-so's there and it's ridiculous. Because it basically meant I had no downtime and my mind was never off. And when my wife called time on LA, which I think was the right move, and we came back and I thought she was right, you know, because I'm actually happy now. And I knew so many people over there that had varying different degrees of success. And the people that I knew, very famous, very wealthy, very successful, I don't think they were very happy. Yeah. I really don't. And for me now, that's kind of all that matters for me now. It's just reaching that place where I feel, you know, happy and content with what I do. And I feel like I'm getting there with it, you know.
It's a slow process, though.
It is. It is a slow process. But I just think as well, like, you have to... I'm only 38, but I feel like an older actor because I started so young. Yeah. So I've been through the mill with all the emotions of acting quite early. You know, and when you're breaking from being a child actor into being an adult actor, there's this interim where you're not a boy, you're not a man, so you're uncastable, really. So you have to go through this transitional period, which is very difficult, and essentially you have to start again. So when I got to 18, it was almost like the career that I'd had, the 8-year career I'd had at that point, meant nothing. All it was experience. It meant nothing to me going forward. I had to start again as an adult.
Well, it's a bit like going to America. Unless you're honest, you're starting again.
You are, which is a good thing, I think. I mean, that was the good thing about LA was it was a clean page for me. Nobody put me in a box. It was brand new. So even though I'd been in comedies and I'd had a sketch show, people would literally look at a piece of paper and they go, oh, great, you had your own show. Okay, cool. They didn't give a shit what it was about.
It doesn't mean anything to them,
it was called The Kevin Bishop Show, and that's all they cared about. And so that was brilliant. So I was up there auditioning for dramas, and I loved it because I thought, wow, they'll actually see me. Because, you know, in this country, that thing people would go, well, Kevin would be good for that. And they'll say, Oh no, doesn't he do impressions?
Yeah, he does that, doesn't he?
Yeah, which is just like that hurts me the most.
Do you find it difficult to deal with that?
Very, very. And I didn't realise how difficult it was going to be, actually. And I don't think my agents over the years have realised, because I would say to them, look, I can do comedy, right?
We know that.
We know that. It's easy, that. It's easy. I want to do something else. I'm bored of doing that. I don't want to do that character again. I don't want to do that. And so what amazes me is how casting directors will actually refuse to see you for it. Actually go, we don't even want to see him.
Yeah.
We don't even want him to sit in front of us for 5 minutes and read the fucking lines. That's how much we think he's not right. They've written you off. You've never met them. And that to me was a shock, because I was always thinking, if I was a caster, I know it's tough for them, but like, I'd want to see that. And I also feel for a lot of comedy actors who don't get the shot to try drama, because I think, well, for me, comedy comes from a very dark place, and I think that people that are funny are sad, and it's the only way that you can deal with life.
And there's a great honesty in that as well.
Yeah.
And I always think that some of the greatest comedic actors over the years can switch. They can just do it, because it's all placed in reality with the comedy. They can completely switch over into drama, and it's real and it's truthful, and it is sad.
Yeah. Well, I always feel like anybody who is in comedy in one way or another struggles. They really struggle with like, and that's their way of dealing with it. And my family are all very funny. They're all sort of frustrated comedians, and their thing is like, well, if you don't laugh, you cry. And it's true.
It is true.
It's fucking true. It's like, I'm the worst person to tell that your cat has died, because I find it very difficult sitting in sincerity, because I'm uncomfortable with it. I'm really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
With sitting and being sincere in that moment. So my immediate get out is to take the piss.
Yeah.
Because I can't cope with you being sad around me. And I'm scared of it.
Yeah.
And so that was my thing. When I was a kid, I was bullied unmercifully as a kid. And I went to a really rough school. Because
of being on the telly.
Being on the telly. Yeah. It was so bad. There were kids from other schools in different blazers waiting for me outside my school gates. And the bullies from my school were going, he'll be out here in a minute. Yeah, he's coming out here in a minute. Yeah, blonde prick. You'll see him. He's coming through. Like, it was like that. And I was running over the back over fields to get out. It was like fighting for my life.
Jesus.
And, yeah, and I just sort of, and that's when I'm sure that's when I got into comedy, because it was like, well, I'm not big enough to fight these kids, and I can't have this. I can't be getting bullied.
No.
So the comedy came out, and that's how I got got through it. And they're like, he's all right, he's funny. That was my thing, because I wasn't the best footballer, I wasn't the hard nut, but I was funny,
And you just pull the rug out from underneath them.
Yeah.
And go, oh well. If they're not battering me, then at least I can make them laugh.
Yeah, and that is, I suppose, subliminally, how you sort of... blokes have all got their own way of being an alpha in one way or another. And some guys will be, walking in being the tough guy. Some guys will be this guy, whatever. And other guys will be funny. And it is a bit of a... When it's funny people in the group, it's like, oh, am I next? Oh, he's looking at me like he's rounding on me. It is. It's almost like a sort of... Yeah, it's a power, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's the if you are a small guy or whatever, you are a sort of shy guy or whatever, comedy can give you that little thing.
A little edge.
A little edge, yeah.
Were you approached to write your own show, or was that something you went, I've got to do this, I've got to create my own stuff?
I never wanted to write. It was never on my agenda at all. I just wanted to be hired as an actor. That's all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then after we did a show called Star Stories on Channel 4, and that was very successful, and then they said, right, let's give this guy his own show. And then they offered me the Kevin Bishop show. And I had written this sort of sitcom outline, what I wanted to do. And I gave it to them. They went, yes, thanks for this. This is great. No, it's something else, quite different. You're going to be doing a sketch show, famous people. And I said, I don't.
Haven't I just done that?
I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. They went, well, that's the remit. That's what you're doing. And so that was it.
Really?
Yeah. And I didn't really have much of a say. And so then we had to come up with a format for this sketch show, which was a skybox.
Yeah.
And you chose. It was a fast-paced sketch show. That wasn't really like, I never wanted to do something that was like quantity over quality, but that's what it ended up being. And we did 50 sketches per 23-minute episode.
Jesus.
And I remember saying, right, so where's the writers? And they were like, yeah, well, yes, I wanted to talk to you about that because we don't really have the budget for a writing team as such. So you're in there, see you at 6 o'clock, and I would just go into this room. And having never written comedy or a sketch before in my life, I had to come up with ideas. And I was hiring my friends and family, paying them out of my own pocket to sit in a room with me and, talk about our lives and make sketches. And that's how I did it. And I actually wrote some of the best stuff I've ever written with my cousins.
Really?
And I was paying them 50 quid and buying them a sandwich at lunchtime, and they were made up because they were writing for a comedy show. And, and really, we were being fucked over.
Yeah.
But we did have sketches from other writers, but I never had that thing where I could collaboratively sit with writers and write. So maybe one or two, I got like a one day with great writers, like a guy called Les Keane and every now and Nico Tarowitz, who's a brilliant writer. I got the odd day where I could write with them. But we were 350 sketches a series, and I had to write it in 6 weeks.
Jesus.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. No, I can't.
The pressure.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, and if someone said to me now, right, we're going to make the Kevin Bishop show, exactly how we made it, which would never happen, but like they said, if we're going to do that, exactly how we made it back in that day, and I couldn't do it. I don't mentally have the brain power to achieve it.
Did you feel you lost control?
Oh, completely. It wasn't my show. I mean, that's the truth of it. Is that like I was a puppet. Of course, the name was
there, but yeah,
I was a puppet. It was a Channel 4 sketch show with my name wanked over it. Really, is what it was. Albeit a very successful show, and I was really grateful that it propelled me and gave me a profile. But what it actually did, if I'm really honest, was it took me away from what my original sort of path was, which was like, doing independent French movies, and drama, and, I love doing star stories, but then it took me into impressions, which I used to do to make my mates laugh. My best impressions are not famous people, they're people that I know.
They're the French teacher.
They're French teacher, that's what it is. So I somehow got sidelined into, and I'd never really I've never studied the only person I've ever studied their voice was Farage, to play Farage. It's the only one I've ever done. So I couldn't really, I'm not as good as Rory Bremner or, John Culshaw. I'm not as studious as them,
But they're quite firmly impressionists.
Yeah, that's what they do. And I don't think that I'm really like that. I'm an actor who can mimic people's voices.
Kevin.
Craig.
You enjoy that?
Yeah.
Did you?
It was great. Loved it.
Thanks so much, man. I love that.
It was brilliant. I loved it, yeah.
And another episode is done. And what a gentleman Kev is. I really enjoyed that. There's no stopping Kev. He's such a ball of energy. I'm so thrilled that he had time to come on, and we've been meaning to do. We've been talking about it for ages, which is the case. So that's it. There's 86 episodes for you to dive into now. So go and root. Go. You always go. I do as well. I do this. You dive into it with somebody that you know or somebody that you like. Do us a favour. Hit download of somebody who you've never heard of, and maybe you'll be surprised, and maybe you'll find a bit more about that person, and I think you'll probably enjoy it. Right, well, that's it. We're going to go on a little holiday. You take care of yourself, stay sound, look after yourself, and we shall see you in a bit. Thanks so much for downloading. Until then, I've been Craig Parkinson, he's been producer Griff, and this has been the Two Shot Podcast. Take it easy. Two Shot Podcast is presented by me, Craig Parkinson, recorded and produced by Thomas Griffin for Splicing Block. Our brilliant music, is courtesy of Them Thickens. Cheers.